video. Hello everyone. So I wanted to make a video because I am so proud of all of the students walking out yesterday. I know that they have a lot of sacrifices that they are partaking in their lives. So while they did that, and while we talk about that, I wanted to kind of walk around our little homestead and explain why exactly I am so proud of these young people. So from what I understand, they all decided to trash, or to recycle rather, their smartphones. And they will never use one again because they have learned that it takes children over in Africa mining cobalt, and it takes slave labor over in China to create these smartphones. So they all decided no more smartphones, no more cell phones. So we didn't get any video from the climate marches yesterday because everybody decided that the planet is going to die. The planet will die, can just spontaneously combust, and life will stop lifing. And so they all decided that there will be no more plants grown. There will be no more tomatoes. They all kind of look like tomatoes in August. There'll be no more tomatoes. And so they decided, you know what, we have to make some drastic changes. And so they all also decided that they were going to, as best as they could, wear hand-me-downs. No one had any new clothing on. It was all refurbished clothing. They all shopped at the Goodwills and things like that, because you know most clothing is made in sweatshops in China, and China is known as along with India, the biggest polluters and the biggest carbon emission creators. And so they are just like, we're not going to buy new clothes anymore. They also decided that in not buying new clothes, especially from things like places like China, that they are all going to invest in foot-powered sewing machines. And so the schools are setting up tons and tons of foot-powered sewing machine classes to teach these children how to make their own clothes. Now, of course, you have to have cloth to be made, and so they've all decided that they are going to be working with cotton gins themselves, and reaping cotton gin, and schools are going to take all of their fields, I've heard, and start planting flaxseed so that they can then take linen, and then they can spin linen themselves. I also heard that the kids decided that they were not going to eat any more food that came from the grocery store, because it takes carbon emissions, and lots of them, to get avocados. No more. They will never touch an avocado again if it has to be shipped. If they're in the northern half, like the zones like 6 and above in the United States, they're only Southerners will be eating avocados and things like that. Things that are native. They made a pledge to do that. They also pledged that they would go to bed at dark so that they wouldn't have to turn any lights on. And they also pledged that they wouldn't have any lights on in their school anymore at all, and that they would just go by the daylight hours, and the rooms that have no windows in these schools, they decided that they would just, go in with candles and things like that. Candles which they have decided to make, by the way, and they've decided that they're going to keep bees and make their own beeswax. I'm so proud of these climate kids, because they've decided that, and they've been screaming at the top of their lungs, we have to change this world, and they're positive, and they're for a positive change. The biggest thing that they did during their climate strike and their climate walkout, which I was so proud of, it was called a climate walkout because they all walked to wherever they were going for their walkout. They just walked. There was no driving, because carbon emissions are so awful, and they're going to die in 10 or 12 years. So they have all made the pledge that they will never drive anywhere unless it's for an emergency, ever again. And they've made a pledge that, you know, the only electricity that should ever be used is now for hospitals and emergency vehicles and things like that. So I'm really proud of them. They are investing, everyone's investing in bicycles, to which they're a little bit on edge about that, because a lot of those bicycles are made overseas, and they're creating carbon emissions, but they think that they can offset their carbon emissions by bicycling everywhere they go, or walking versus driving. They will not, there will be none of these kids, they have vowed that they will not be driving to football practice or to piano lessons or to dance practice. They need the exercise anyways. They've all made these vows that they were going to just walk to everywhere they needed to go. They also are begging their families to get those little trailers, little bob trailers and everything, to go behind bicycles, so that if they do have to go to the grocery store, and sometimes they've decided that, you know, they're only going to go to the grocery store for bulk items, right? Flour, maybe a little bit of sugar, but they decided that they're only going to go for bulk items. They're going to make everything at home. They've decided, this was one of the big ones I thought was so amazing. They have decided that, you know, buying a loaf of bread at the store is such a waste, because they have to truck all that bread, and it comes in plastic, you know. So decided we're not going to ditch the plastic. We're going to just buy flour in a paper bag, which can be burned or recycled, and we're going to just make all of our own bread. And so part of their school days, and I was really proud of them, they decided, them and the teachers that have been brainwashing them into the climate change hysteria, that they are going to use half of the day to produce all the goods that they need. And so there will be bread making, there will be sewing lessons, but only on the foot-powered sewing machines, because the no electricity. They're going to use wood-powered. I know the environment, but they're gonna use wood-powered ovens to make these loaves of bread. There will be only fruit that is in season locally. One of the coolest things I was so proud of them for was they decided that they were going to also spend parts of their days while in school canning canned goods. And so right now, all of the kids, they went home and they were going to go to all of the places, all the Amish places that had leftover tomatoes at the end of the season. I got some in here they can get. Look at down there. They have decided that they're going to get all the tomatoes that they can, and they're going to can their tomatoes for the year at school. And like I said, with no electricity, they're not going to turn lights on. They have decided we will never use a laptop ever again. They might, from what I understood, keep one laptop to the side where they can plug in to get directions on how to do all these things that they don't know how to do. Spinning wool. They're going to... they've heard that sheep produce rather quickly, so they're going to take part of their outdoor vicinities and grow some sheep, and they're gonna all wear all their clothes from the wool that they can grow, and if they can't, they're gonna buy the wool, they're gonna spin it themselves, and then they're gonna have these wonderful knitting classes, so that all the sweaters that they wear will be hand knitted. This is fantastic. This is really sustainable, and this will help pretty much eliminate carbon emissions like flat. And so kids are the answer to all the world's problems, because they have decided to just make so many sacrifices. In fact, what they have basically decided to do is to go back to a time that was pre-industrial revolution, pre-cars, and they're not going to they're going to grow all their own food here. We have let's see, just like we got some radishes coming up and some beets. This is our winter garden. We can see we got some carrots coming up and some lettuce coming up. They've decided that that's what they're going to do. And my heart went out to them. Oh, and they decided that they're not going to buy the latest new shoes. No more Nikes, no more Adidas. They're made in sweatshops in a lot of these Asian countries. A lot of them made in China. Again, the biggest carbon emission producer in the world, and one of the biggest polluters, along with India. So they decided that each family, it will be allotted one deer, and they will take the deer meat, and they will eat the meat, and they will make bone broth from the bones, and they will take the skin, the pelt from the deer, and they are going to make all their own shoes. I understand the vast undertaking that these children have decided that they can do, that they can change the world, that they're going to make these huge, giant changes in their lives. And the big one with the no smartphones, I'm so proud of them. I can't do it because I still got to reach people. I still have to reach people. Danny, so they decided that they're going to live like the Native Americans, and they're going to go back to the land, and they're going to honor the land again like the Native Americans, and they're going to plant things like our raspberries here. Okay, guys, seriously. So the kids walked out of school on Friday, and they believe that we only have 12 years left to live, and yet they have no answers for what they're going to do. Their answers are: we need more technology, we need more solar power, because we still want all of our new Nikes, we want all of our new cell phones, a new cell phone every couple years or every year, we want electricity, we want air conditioning, we want the brand new cars, we want all the stuff. We just think that they think, and they've been told, they've been sold this bill of goods, brainwashed by the left, or whoever you want to call it, the liberals, who have decided with this whole Green New Deal that they're going to usher in this socialism, usher in the Green New Deal. Is even the author of the Green New Deal, who they are yelling for this Green New Deal. It has nothing to do about being green. I just spoke to you about being green. We are trying to be green. I mean, we even have a green roof and a green deck. Okay, no, but seriously, being green would be to do your best to live off the land, to honor the land. I have you can't really see much here, but this is my strawberry patch. Produced a couple gallons of strawberries. These raspberries, I got between this patch of raspberries and yeah, idealism of the young is tapped into via those not of the country. So these raspberries, they don't look like much right here, but they produced 3 gallons of raspberries this year, which I canned into all kinds of jars of red raspberry jam. And we live, here's our little buddies in here. Look at our little baconites. It's warm today. Hey, that's Ollie right there. Say hi, Ollie. So we live on a little over 1 acre, and we produce over half of our own food. Right here, you'll see these extra peaches. Kansas has been going to a local market, and they used to throw away, like in the trash, tons of summer produce, to which I've been feeding, very little grain to these wonderful coonies this summer because of it. Somebody's under the water over there. It's a little hot here in September in Ohio. It's like over 90 degrees. It's a little bit warm. But so anyways, I just thought these were thoughts going through my head, because they are scaring these children. Like I watch the videos, these kids are having heart palpitations, they're in a great amount of anxiety, and to be honest, in a lot of ways they should be. The GMOs that are in all of our food, from corn syrup to corn chips corn is in everything. That is actually damaging to your body, damaging to our bodies, and they should be concerned. How will that? I don't want anybody to be fearful and not be able to go to sleep at night, because you're not going to be healthy if you're fearful and you can't sleep at night, right? So God has answers, and he can heal the earth. I want you guys to know, have you ever seen like Michigan now, in places where the places have been abandoned, and the environment and green things have been taking over? Life will find a way, okay, guys? So if we allow life to find a way, if we allow green things to grow, if we scale back, one of the things, you know, when it comes to education and it comes to schooling, those diesel buses produce more CO2 than God knows what. And if we were to tell those kids, hey, you know what, you could cut carbon emissions by not driving to school and being homeschooled, what would the teachers do then? They could literally help save the planet by not driving to school every day. And what I just told you, all the different things that need to be done to cut all these carbon emissions. And here, guys, I'm not on the carbon bandwidth. I do believe we are harming our planet, and that's where we need to put our focus on, and those things can be radically changed. Look at this. Blackberries. A place in Africa just planted, took a 12 hours, and they set a record number of millions of trees planted. What if they took their walkout days, guys, and just, you know, okay, you have your air conditioning, you have your iPhones, you have your stuff, but what if they took their days, their walkout days, and they just cleaned up filth and they planted trees? Okay, that's what these teachers should be teaching their children. They should be teaching them how to honor, and I believe they should be teaching kids how to skin a deer, and how to make moccasins, and how to because here's the thing, did you know that grounding is good for you? You can release the negative ions that come into your body via these electronic devices. We've used it with a multimeter, and these electronic devices put these positive ions in you, and when you touch the ground, it's called grounding. You can get those positive ions out, which is actually, you don't want the positive ions, you want negative ions. Dirt itself has an antidepressant in it, so when you're touching dirt, and teachers could be teaching kids this, but they're not, because they need control. They don't want kids to be free and run around and climb trees all day. They want them in a building where they're not actually being healthy, and they're not actually learning as much as you could in real life. So to the climate kids, the earth, whether we do anything about GMOs or vaccines or anything, you're still going to be here. The earth is still going to be here in 10 or 12 years. Okay. Yes, we are damaging the planet, but everything can be reversed. You know, Michelle has videos on keeping bees. A lot of people are getting into keeping bees lately. I read yesterday that 3 billion birds there's in 1970, there were 3 billion more birds than there are today. And a lot of that has to do with insecticides, because the insecticides are killing the insects that the birds are feeding off of. And I love birds, but I don't see as many birds around. So we need to, you know, yes, those climate kids should be knocking on Monsanto's door and saying, and Bayer's door and the insecticides, and say, you know what, we need to find something that is not going to be killing these insects, actually. Find a way to grow the plants so the insects could still live, as they have done for 2, 3, 4 centuries since mankind started to plant things. So, guys, I am proud of children who have a passion for something, so I don't want to mock them. Let me just end with that. But taking youthful passions and bridling them with fear and not giving them real solutions is the fault of the adults who have set them up, and there's Greta Thunbergs out there who are being used and manipulated to usher in a communist socialist agenda. They're not even hiding it. It's exactly what AOC is saying. It's exactly what our Green New Deal talks about, getting rid of cow farts, yeah, and I hate that word, so toots. I have a little list here, so I want to ask you guys, and I want to ask these kids. I want to get back to the garden. I want to get everybody back to a garden. And so how many of these things on this list have you done? And I think that most of these kids will not have done any of them, which is sad. And my question is to you guys, think about how many things are on this list have you done? Let's see. So I'm going to read some of these. Had a pocket full of raw egg. Well, I have chickens, and yes, I've done that. Have you sat by a campfire? Have you patched up your jeans? Have you had a farmer tan from actually working outside? Have you shoveled manure? There's a scripture that says that where there no oxen are, the crib is clean, but there is much strength by the work of oxen. So, meaning, if you don't have animals and you don't have anything to clean up, but, you know, they help you get things done. Have you peed outside? Uh-huh. Boys love to pee outside. Kansas cowboy, he loved to pee outside. Have you picked fruit off of a tree? Well, we got some fruit trees over there. I got like gallons and gallons of pears. Well, I'm gonna start canning those up. Have you baked bread? Hello, holla. Have you smelled of tomato leaves? This tomato leaves has a distinct smell when you're out there. It's kind of. Have you spun wool? I have spun wool. Have you? Have you cut open a bale of hay? Honey, I got hay. I got hay. Hay. I got bales of hay over here. We're cutting bales all the time. Have you worn boots with your pajamas? What is that? That means that you're not quite ready to get up yet, but your animals need their food. They're whining, they're crying, and they need some water. And so, yeah, have done that. Do it a lot. Have you made jam, honey? You know, I'm not talking about the music. I'm talking about good old-fashioned, there's blackberries in there, blackberry jam, raspberry jam. I made a ton of grape jam. Have you touched a slug? Well, those you gotta, instead of using insecticides, you can get a little thing of beer, and they go in there and they drown. Or you just pick them off one by one. They will wreak havoc on your hostas. Have you used duct tape? I got that song. With little duct tape, hey babe, we can fix anything. The Lord is my duct tape. Hey babe, he can fix anything. With a little baling wire and twine, you can be mine with a little duct tape. Hey babe, with the duct tape. I got that from when Kansas cowboy over there. Hey Kansas, wave to the people. Matt, wave. Say hi. There he is. It's that Chuck over there that I wrote that song because he had something something was falling off the truck and we had to get somewhere, and we got some baling wire out, tied it right up. So with a little baling wire and twine, we'll be fine. Have you operated a chainsaw? Yes, a lot. Have you butchered an animal? Well, this is kind of our standalone chicken cone here. There's a couple little feathers in there. So yeah, done that. What else is on this list? Have you foraged for blackberries? Foraging for blackberries is way more fun than growing them. It's like going out into and finding treasures, and you find another little patch, you find another little patch, you find another little patch. And they took my blackberries back there, and used to be like 100 some odd acres back there. We used to go out in the heat, and my mom used to cover us from head to toe in the middle of August with headgear for ticks, and it was hot, but it was awesome. Let's see. A couple more things on here. Have you harvested potatoes? I love harvesting potatoes. Yes, this whole thing was potatoes. Before we got our fall garden in there. Tapped a maple tree. Have you ever tapped a maple tree? These kids, I don't think they've done one thing on this list, these poor children. I feel bad for them. Have you eaten dinner in a garden? We have a little fire pit we eat out here around our have you trapped a rodent? We got some mouse traps out right now. Have you ridden in the back of a pickup? That's fun. That's fun. I know you're breaking the law, but it's fun. Grown a watermelon. Grown them, not real big. Been cut on barbed wire. That I can do away with, and milked a goat. That I can do away with as well. You know, so back to the cars, the stinkers. The stinkers by the cows. You know, I often think about this. Worried about cow farts? Are you worried about them? Are you worried? In the early 1800s, there were roughly 60 million buffalo residing in America. There are currently 9.4 million dairy cows and 31.7 million beef cows. You either have to prove cow farts are more destructive to the environment than buffalo farts, or admit that cow farts really aren't something we should be worried about. Democrats, we're in Iowa. For what, you guys? a big giant steak fry. I'm like, what is this? They're grilling thousands of steaks. And this is what I decided. Okay, so because they're not allowed to have, we shouldn't have beef anymore. Okay, so what they decided was they got to use up everything that's butchered because they don't want to be wasteful. So they're using up all of the meat that was butchered, and then they're not going to eat any more meat. Duh. Okay, this time next year, there will be soy burger fries for these people. Yeah. So the Democrats are hypocrites. Hypocrite. Did I say that? I have a cough. I have some hypocrite in my throat. Yeah, they don't mean it. They know they're not going to die in 10 or 12 years, but they're not going to be in power next year unless they use fear-mongering to get to y'all. So, all right, this is the logic that we're talking about. All right, guys, I love you. God loves you, and God bless these children, and let's pray that they get out of their little brainwashing and they start to actually love God, love the earth, take care of the environment, and heck, yeah, maybe they should start bicycling to school, walking to school, or being homeschooled. And yeah, maybe they should start growing their own food and not eating so many avocados that take their little trip on the old semi-truck all over the place. And maybe they could put down their cell phones a few minutes a day. I don't know if they will, but if they really think they're going to die in 10 to 12 years, I got to answer for them. So if you know any that are afraid and would like to take action, have them give me a call. I'm going to talk to them, and I'll give them some help, and I'll give them some tips. All right, guys, signing off. Love you. God loves you. Oh, you can do a water tank. You're going to set up a water tank. That's what they're going to do. No more city water. They're going to dig wells all day. It's a good idea. Bye, guys.